Today we're going to be talking about the direct booking loop. It's something that we touched on in last week's webinar when we talked about getting your first direct bookings, get direct booking, but the direct booking loop is way more in detail, and it's really focused around the tactics that you take and the strategy for using psychology to get your calendar having about to be 20 to 30% direct bookings or more. We'll talk about why we're going to do that, why that's the magic number. Like, why is 30% the holy grail? Can you go above 30? Of course you can. But why 30% is the holy grail? That's one topic. What that means for you, what happens when you achieve that? That's another topic. And then how do you actually do it? What is the psychology of building the direct booking loop? Before we get started here, and as more people are joining in, what I really want to do is make sure we get to know each other a little bit. I do see some familiar faces. So Faith, good to see you again. Can everyone just in the chat, and we have Jeff here, who Jeff's on our team. He's the marketing guy that puts all this fun stuff together. Thank you, Jeff, for setting everything up. Jeff, can you drop in the chat a question so that as people join, they can see it? What I really want to know, and I want to do this today, I want you to show me your direct booking websites. I don't care if they're good. I don't care if they're bad. I promise we will not make fun of them. What we're going to do is we're going to review them we're going to do a build up. Everyone heard of a tear down where you say, oh, I'm going to do this, do a tear down on this thing and see all the bad points. We're going to do an opposite. We're going to do a build up of your direct booking website, and you're going to let us know what's in there, what's not in there, and how to improve that and get it better. Right. So just go ahead. So drop a link to your direct booking site right in the chat. If you don't have a direct booking website and you want to drop your Airbnb or Vrbo listing, you can drop that too. So anything that you want to drop, go for it. And we're going to go ahead and dig in. All right. So give me 1 second. Let me get the screen share going here, guys. Cool. Let's full screen this bad boy. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about the direct booking loop. And the direct booking loop is the subtitle of today's session is really how to use psychology to hit your income goals, right? Everything that you do when it comes to consumer behavior is all based on psychology, because what you're really trying to do is convince someone on the other side of the world or on the other side of the internet to do a thing you want them to do so you can make some money and achieve your goals, right? With direct bookings, what you're really focused on is building not just trust. Someone has to trust you enough to book, but more importantly, you have to build a process so that you don't have to convince every person independently to trust you. You need a repeatable process to build enough trust so that the world starts on its own driving direct bookings to your property. What you're doing right now, if you're listed, and let's drop in the chat where you're listed today. If you're listed on Airbnb, you're listed on Vrbo, wherever you're listening today, go ahead and drop that in the chat. I see some chat messages coming through here. So there we go. I want to see where you're listed. So go ahead and drop where you're listed in the chat today. And the reason why that's important is because that helps us understand what the next steps you need to take to actually start driving direct bookings, right? We're going to talk about the psychological process. The first thing we're going to do, and we covered a little bit of this last time, but I want to touch on this because it's so important, is talk about why direct bookings matter. Direct bookings matter, and we're going to do real quick 5 minutes on this because everyone's got to know this, especially the new people that are in here. Direct bookings are valuable because on average, one direct booking will put twice as much income in your pocket, 2 to 3 times as much income in your pocket compared to a booking on a channel. That does not mean that bookings on channels are not good. As we're going to talk about later on, getting bookings on channels is one of the key ways that you're going to drive direct bookings to yourself. We're going to figure out how to do that, right? But direct bookings are not only higher in value, they're higher, and they take people that book directly stay longer. They are willing to spend more money, and they actually leave your property in a better condition too. And here's the crazy part. You guys ready for this? It's not because they're different people. It's the same people. It's the same person that books directly also books on Airbnb and Vrbo or booking.com. It's whether or not you can build the relationship with them, the psychological relationship and the steps in the real world to get them to book you directly instead of booking on those channels, or maybe book you directly to book you on those channels today, or discover you on those channels today and complete the booking directly through your website, right? They're 2 to 3 times as valuable. They leave your property in a better condition. And when they leave reviews, although the reviews are directly on your website, typically not on a listing, they also leave higher reviews. So they're better in every single way. The challenge, though, is that as sites like Airbnb, especially Airbnb, get more popular, you can see the growth trend here. And this is a couple of years back before the pandemic. It's really taken off since. Direct bookings become harder and harder and harder to get. And the reason why they become harder to get is because people don't trust any strangers on the internet. You go to Airbnb, Airbnb pioneered. I see Anna. Anna, thanks for dropping that in the chat. We're going to take a look at that listing in a second. And I love the name, Your Big Bear. Perfect. Everyone else, just drop your stuff in the chat too. Let's get that going, and so we can take a look at some of these things together. What Airbnb did, they did something magical for the short-term rental industry. And so, yes, I'm talking about direct bookings. Yes, I'm the founder of Futurestay, and we've built more direct booking websites than anyone else in the world. We've built over 100,000 direct booking websites, not for 100,000 properties, 100,000 separate individual websites for 100,000 rentalpreneurs over the past 10 years. So I'm the biggest advocate of direct bookings probably in the entire world. But what I'm going to tell you here is that direct bookings aren't easy, and they're not easy because Airbnb and Vrbo specifically have done such a good job at building a trust relationship between you as the host and the traveler. What they did was pretty simple. They solved a really, really big new problem in about 2014-15, where they were starting to take off, but the transactions weren't happening and they weren't making a ton of money because it was all request to book and so on. And no one trusted letting a stranger stay in your home. They solved that problem using an old piece of technology and an old solution. Anyone on the call old enough to remember eBay? You guys remember eBay back in the day? Like PayPal was the solution that you could use to do a transaction on eBay, right? Any eBay people? So eBay was the scariest thing in the world. It was literally, all right, I'm going to sell you something that you've never seen in the year 2000, you saw a picture of, send it to you and you're going to send me money. Like, how do you trust that you're going to actually get what you pay for? That the way that eBay solved that problem was to build a two-sided review marketplace where I could review you and you could review me. And so that way I would know not to trust someone that had bad reviews and not to buy from that seller, or vice versa. If I was a bad buyer, you could review me. So Airbnb solved that problem. They solved the trust problem in short-term rentals, which was the biggest blocker to bookings happening on channels and instant booking on channels, by letting people review each other. Now, here's the problem. How does that work on your direct booking website? If someone just finds you, they don't know you from Adam. So you have to build that trust back, and you got to do it in a second, because you're going to lose that potential booking if you don't have the ability to build that trust. So that's the challenge of direct bookings. It's not just how do you get discovered, but how do you get trusted enough to make that booking worth more than getting it on Airbnb. Now let's talk a little bit about economics, and then we're going to dive directly into the direct booking loop. We talked a second ago about how valuable direct bookings are, but what we didn't talk about is why they're so valuable. It's not just because people pay more. It's that when you have your property listed on Airbnb or in any other OTA, if you're selling it for, let's make up an ADR, $1,000 a night. You're selling that property for $1,000 a night. Great. Okay. What does Airbnb actually charge that guest? Are they charging them $1,000 for a one-night stay? Nope. The guest fee on that transaction, assuming that you're on their standard pricing mode, the guest fee on that transaction is anywhere up to and sometimes exceeding 22%. And so that's why we created the double up number calculator. So you can go, and Jeff, can you drop that in the chat, please? I'm going to pull that up on the screen, the double up calculator here. The double up direct booking income calculator. Go grab this sheet. Jeff's going to pop it in the chat, make a copy of it, and edit these blue numbers. This is going to tell you what percentage of your bookings would need to be direct bookings for you to literally double how much income you're making. You are going to be blown away. And the reason why is because it's usually between 15 and 30%. A lot of people think of direct bookings are the zero-sum game where you got to get all direct bookings in order to actually see any profit from them. No, for most people, because STR, short-term rentals, are typically a low-margin business. That's normal. Yeah, that doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. They're typically a low-margin business because of all the expenses. They're a great way to build wealth, but not necessarily a great way to throw off a ton of cash, unless you're doing at massive scale. And most people are not. Margins are typically between 5 and 15, 20% if you're doing great, maybe 25%. And so that means, think about it for a second, guys. If you have a 22% commission being tacked onto a stay by an OTA, and your margin is only 15%, just by getting a couple stays a year without that 22% commission, you're going to be putting a lot more in your pocket. So your actual short-term rental goals, your short-term rental goals, are way more achievable when you are incorporating direct bookings into your mix. That's super important. The goal here is not some far-off number, some far-off land where you have to have 100% direct bookings and you got influencers on your behalf and you're running marketing campaigns. Can you do that? Sure. Do you need to do that in order to double your income? No. So go grab the double up direct booking calculator. Just got that in the chat. Put your numbers in here, put them in. And then when you're doing that, when you put your numbers in, drop your double up number. What's in that red number for you, drop that in the chat. I want to see what your double up numbers are. I've generally been surprised because very rarely do we ever see a double up number that is more than 30% direct bookings. People can double their income with less than 30% double their direct bookings. So grab this. It's totally free, obviously. Go ahead and just grab that. All right. So back over here for a second. So we talk about why bookings are so valuable and the fact that you don't need to change everything you do and put in a ton of effort in order to drive direct bookings. We also talk about why it's so hard to get them, because sites like Airbnb have solved the massive problem that existed in short-term rentals, which was getting people enough to trust you enough to let them stay in your house without them thinking that one or two of you are going to have an axe and become an axe murderer and take the other person out overnight, right? So now that that's the stage, we know they're valuable, right? I want to tell you guys another secret. So I'm here in Central Jersey. Shout out to Rutgers University right around the corner, New Brunswick, New Jersey. I was born and raised in New York. I don't know if we have any New Yorkers here in the house, but New York is currently in Manhattan, not in all of New York State, but in Manhattan, there's a law called Local Law 17. There's a couple of laws attached to it. And there's a moratorium on all short-term rentals. This was a law that was put in the books in 2016, was not enacted, it was not enforced. And over the past 2 months, it started getting enforced like this. I had the pleasure of meeting a very smart young lady who runs an organization called ROAR. Her name is Marjane, and I'll drop her information. We'll send her information out to anyone here that's in New York that's interested. If you're in New York, just drop it in the chat, and we'll get you connected with ROAR. ROAR is a association that helps people who were impacted by this law and are losing their homes that they've sometimes had in their family for decades. They're losing their homes because guess what happened when Local Law 17 got on the books? Airbnb dropped all of the listings in New York and Manhattan. So overnight, you could have been going from building equity on your home, having a steady source of income to supplement your income, or maybe even if you have 2 or 3 properties, be your income, or if you're doing really well, be your income. They went from that to not being able to pay their mortgages. And I'm not talking about apartment buildings where they were getting noise complaints. The ROAR organization just helps people that have single family homes on their own properties. They're still not allowed to rent anything less than 30 days. So guess what happened overnight? Literally, the ROAR organization's like 600 people. Overnight, these guys started putting together, pooling money, helping people out with mortgage payments, etc. What we're doing with them is we're giving everyone at ROAR some help to get direct booking websites set up. And the reason why is because those bookings are still happening, guys. They're just not happening on Airbnb. They're not happening on Vrbo. People are still booking those properties, and they're booking them for 30-day plus days. That's happening, and that's happening legally. That's all above the books and above the board. But some people, if they find your website They're coming to New York for a weekend or 5 days or 7 days or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. They're finding the websites and they're still booking because the law hasn't changed for years. The only thing that's changed, like that's been illegal for years in New York according to the law. The only thing that's changed is now Airbnb is enforcing it, right? Because they were told to, not because they're not your friend, because they were told they had to enforce it. And so what that means is if you don't have a means to take direct booking and one of your distribution partners, can be anyone on the list, can be someone else, makes a decision, or they are required by law to stop listing your property, or they change the algorithm and sorry, your property went from page 1 to page 100. You could lose your home if you don't have any way to take direct bookings. And we're seeing that happening in real time. I had a conversation with someone from New York that is 6 mortgage payments behind. We gave them a free direct booking website so we can get them started on the right path to at least help close that gap. So the other really big key about direct bookings is it's not just a way to make more money. It's a way to actually protect yourself and start building real independence around what is, probably one of the most expensive assets that you've ever owned, right? I know for me it is. But we're not going to talk about the tactical and the strategic view of bookings. We have another webinar that we did on that. We can share some of that content with you guys. If you want that, just drop it in the chat and we'll get that to you. What we're going to talk about is why people book directly, because this is really what the direct booking loop is about. Most people make the assumption that the reason why people book directly is because they have a good website. But what does a good website mean? The way that we define that at Futurestay is clarity, desirability, and competitiveness. I'm going to pull up a website and we're going to go through what that means together. That is the fundamental heart of the direct booking loop. If you do not have a good website, nothing else matters. Okay. So let's pull up a website and go through clarity, desirability, and competitiveness real quick. We'll go through that together. See if I can get out of my view here. There we go. Okay. Clarity, desirability, and competitiveness. There we go. We got some more links in here. Okay. There we go. Perfect, guys. Keep dropping those links in. You can DM them to me if you want. That's fine too. You can get some DM links. All right. Clarity is the most important. So we're going to save that one for last. Let's talk about desirability and competitiveness. Now, desirability is pretty obvious. Are you making sure that someone can find the things that they want and that you're selling the dream that your ideal target customer wants on your website? What did I just say? Your ideal target customer. At Futurestay, we have a concept called the stay story. The stay story means it's fancy marketing speak for normally what they say is the ideal customer journey. It means who is the person that wants to buy from you and why do they want to buy? How do they want to buy? How do they go from not knowing about your brand, your product, your service, your property to making the purchase and being satisfied with it? That is what the ideal customer journey is. If you could do a golden path and design it exactly like you want, that is the golden path. That's the ICJ. Futurestay, we call it the stay story. We make it much more simple, which is who comes to your property, why do they come to your property, and what do they want when they're there? We're going to do one together here because this is about desirability, and you got to master this technique. Here's the challenge, guys. You know your property so well that you love them and you think that everyone will love them, but they're not for everyone. This is a beautiful property. Who is this for? It's in Texas. Look at that gorgeous outdoor space. It's built for entertaining. That pizza oven, I mean, that's way better than I got a little rinky-dink pizza oven, a little gas one that sits on a table. I need to get one of these, upgrade to one of these terracotta ones. Pizza looks great. Nice Neapolitans and speckled, they call that leoparding on the crust when it's speckled like that. This property is for someone that wants to entertain. And it's for a gathering. It's for outdoor space. It's for someone that is upscale, someone that is looking to impress friends, family, and guests, right? You can think about that and design your ideal customer journey from that perspective. This is a Futurestay customer. They're doing very, very well with this property. And they're doing very well with driving direct bookings already on this property. This is a new customer. They got up a couple of weeks ago and they've already started getting direct bookings, right? And why? Because look how desirable this is. They know exactly who it's for. Look at exactly what the content says. Immerse yourself in the allure. Okay. They're starting and they're leading with the content that they know the person that's looking for it is going to be impressed by right out of the gate. Open dining, living, and kitchen areas. outdoor oasis, expansive kitchen, all amenities for entertainment. Are they talking about the Wi-Fi for work? No. Are they talking about the family-friendly things? No. This is for entertaining. This is where you're having a bachelor party, bachelorette party, or you're doing a friend's reunion. That's 100% what it's for. So they're desirable because they know who their customer is and they know how to get their customer excited. That's why they're leading with these fun amenities, and they're not leading with the bathrooms. Bathrooms are super important. We're going to get to those in a second. Don't get me, don't mistake it. All this stuff is important, including this. We're going to come back to this in a second. Why is there a Tide Power Pods picture? Why did our team suggest putting a picture of an iron? They suggested putting a picture of an iron because of clarity. We're going to come back to clarity again. That's the last one because it's the most important. Desirability is number one. Competitiveness is number two. Competitiveness you can't see by just looking at one website, but because you have to compare to others, right? But because many people that get to your website didn't just find it through a search, they found it through either something that started on an OTA. We're going to tell you that secret in a minute, and they compared you already in terms of pricing, but most importantly in terms of policies, in terms of what they're going to get, in terms of whether or not they're going to have a good experience there, and who you are competing with, right? Other 5-guest, 3-bedroom, 4-bed, 2-bathroom properties in your area. They're going to know whether or not they'd rather pay a little bit more in some cases for someone that has a flexible cancellation policy versus someone where they're booking sight unseen. The bigger your property and the more expensive it is, the more this matters, right? I told you guys last week that I'm going to be going next week to 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now. Sorry, I forgot how old I am. To my birthday party where we rented a 6-bedroom, nice place on Egg Harbor in New Jersey, right near Atlantic City. We're not going to go to Atlantic City. We're not big gamblers, but we're going to be right on the beach. It's got a rooftop deck. We're going to love it. When we almost didn't book the place because we didn't have enough information. And because the scariest part for us was the fact that in the description, they had a 0 cancellation policy. So if we booked it and then we couldn't fill those 6 bedrooms with our friends and family, we were going to be left holding the bag. We had to talk to the owner and do all this stuff. And we found out, fine, they were going to be flexible with us. They almost lost a several $1,000 stay because we were scared of their cancellation policy. And that's actually one of the few reasons why that beautiful property was still available, even though it was cheaper than ones next door that weren't as nice because their policies were not competitive, right? Wasn't the price. People think competitiveness is price. No, it's what you're offering and what I have to risk, what I have to give up to get it. Policies are a huge, huge factor in that. If you just joined in, I see a bunch more people joining in. Please pop either your Airbnb link, if you have one, or Verbo link, but even better, if you have a direct booking website, pop that in the chat. We're doing build-ups on the websites, and we're talking about not tear downs, not breakdowns. We're doing build-ups and talking about what you can do to get that direct booking link loop started for your property so you can make more money. So go ahead and drop that in the chat. We'll get those moving. I got a couple there. Thank you. Misty, please share. Caroline, drop that in. We'll get these going. Okay, so we're going to wrap this one up. We talked about desirability. That should be pretty obvious. It's about your ideal customer journey, your stay story that you've created. And if you want to know how to make a stay story, just DM me or put that in the chat, and we'll get you a free course on how to create a stay story. So we'll get you how to do that right for your property and have the right pictures and photos and text up front. We talk about competitiveness and how it's not just about price. It's about what you have to give up and what you're risking to book that property, because these are expensive properties for direct bookings. Don't forget, direct bookings are longer and more expensive. If I were just going to stay for one night, I'm not going to book directly. If me and my family are going to go stay for 4 days and we're going to pay a premium because we're going to pay the same thing that you would have charged with the guest fee on Airbnb, because we're not discounting here on direct bookings, guys. We're charging the same price that the guest is going to pay on that channel. We're doing that so we can get our double up number working, and we can double our take home, right? So grab that double up calculator. So you need to have that competitiveness in place in order to be able to compete, right? That's not a value. This is not how to add more value. This is how to make sure people know they can book you. And now we're going to talk about the last one and the most important, clarity. The reason why clarity is the most important is because I don't care how great these pictures are. If I have no idea where these beds are located and whether they are all in one room or it's all bunk beds or if these bathrooms are en suite or not, or if there's parking for me and my 5 cars that are going to, me and my family and friends' 5 cars are going to show up, I can't book the property. If I know I'm going to have to do laundry there because I'm going to be there for 3 days and it says there's a washing machine, but there's no picture of the washing machine, I'm probably not going to book the property. You probably already have the answers to this. You just probably don't have them on your website. You might even have them on your Airbnb listing. Again, that goes back to building trust. But the more detail you put, the more clarity you can answer all the questions that someone might not go out of their way to ask you, right? Oh, is the backyard covered? Is it full sun? Answered, right? What does it look like from the street? Answered. Streaming? Answered. Everything you can answer. To this level, there's a vacuum cleaner, there's Tide, there's an iron. I can see what brand iron it is. Why is this much detail important? Because if someone doesn't know, every single person that has a question, the chance of them just getting out and going back and saying, oh, this isn't the right one for me, gets higher and higher and higher. Okay. Those are the three things: the clarity, the competitiveness, and the desirability that makes the website a good website for direct bookings, right? Cancellation policy, all that stuff, very, very clear. But that's not enough. That's just the beginning. That's not a direct booking loop. The loop is created by a set of things that you have to do in order to drive people to value your website and a direct booking with them more than valuing the trust that they have and the comfort and convenience that they have when they book through an OTA. Let me say that again, guys. This is the secret. It can't be equal. It has to be better. If your website doesn't create and drive more value than your Airbnb and Vrbo listing, you will not get direct bookings. Because why would someone book directly through you unless you're lower in the price, which misses the whole point? Why would they book directly on your website unless you build that connection with them? And so the direct booking loop is about how to build the connection and to get that working, right? We do that through three psychological, sociological principles called the halo effect, the billboard effect, and the network effect. These three principles work in tandem to not just get you that booking in the first place, but to keep the bookings coming back again and again and again, so you can get to and surpass that double up number. For you, that might be 10% direct bookings if your margins are really low. It might be 25% direct bookings if your margins are really high, right? Before we dive in there, I got to jump up. I got to jump into, we're going to talk about this thing. I got to jump into some of these listings here. Let's start. Oh, we got Jim Davis back. Oh my gosh. Jim is the OG. Jim, thanks for coming back. Jim's already at the double up number without a direct booking website. Jim, we got to get your website set up at Futurestay. I know we chatted about that. Jeff, can you message Jim and get his, Jim, if you're willing, can you just get Jim's phone number, DM him? Because I want to give Jim a call and I want to get your website set up myself, Jim. All right. So let's dig in here. I want to start at the top. I want to start at the billboard effect. I'm going to explain what it is, how to put it in place, and then I'm going to dig into looking at this listing here that was shared. I'm going to dig into Misty's listing, her Airbnb listing, and we'll talk about how she can create the billboard effect. Start at the bottom. The billboard effect, this is not something I made up. This is a real thing, guys. The billboard effect, and it says in the travel industry, and the reason why when you look it up is because this is where the name came from. It came from the travel industry. It happens when you list on an OTA, like Booking, Airbnb, Expedia, and then guests see the name of your property or information about your property. They know that it exists. And then they say, oh, this property exists. I don't have enough information about it because this listing is not as comprehensive as I would like it to be. I want more information. So they then find your website through a variety of techniques that we're going to talk about, and then go complete the reservation on your direct booking website. This is, let me start by saying the OTAs, I say this every time, and I really mean it. The OTAs are your partners. They are your friends. The OTA means online travel agency, like Airbnb. They are your distribution partners. They spend, for every single one of us that's on this call, my property, your property, they spend literally hundreds of dollars a year on a per property basis, meaning millions, millions, $100 million plus a year overall to market your property at their own risk. They could market your property, you could never get a booking, right? They could market your property, you could get a booking, you could cancel and refund it. You could have a fake property. They take all those risks, and that's why they charge so much. They're not charging so much because they're greedy and they're mean and they want to mess your business up and mess your home. No, they're charging that much because it costs a lot to be able to build the biggest OTA in the world, the biggest matchmaker for guests and hosts. There's nothing wrong with that. So when someone comes to an OTA like Airbnb or Vrbo and wants to book you through that channel, you don't steal that booking from them because they're your partner. You don't steal from your partners. But Airbnb and everyone else in the world know that this thing exists called the billboard effect. And that is part of the pitch they make to managers. So they're not going to say it to you or me. You got one or two properties, but when you have a manager that has 1,000 properties that's not listed on Airbnb, they get a meeting with Airbnb that says someone from Airbnb, a salesperson calls them and says, "Hey, Jim, I'd like you to bring hey, Misty, right? I'd like you to bring your 1,000 properties on Airbnb." And Jim or Misty says, "Well, what do I get? I'm doing great already. I'm already at Jim. What percentage of direct bookings is Jim at again? Jim was at 30%, I think, direct bookings. Jim, could you drop that in the chat if you don't mind? So yeah, I think so. So Jim's already at 30% direct. So let's pretend Jim has 1,000 properties. I'm at 30% direct booking, guys. I don't need to list on Airbnb. All right. Well, the reason why you should list on Airbnb, Jim, is because people will discover you. They'll read about your listing, and some of them are going to go and they're going to search for your property on Google, and they're going to then come and book you directly. So you're going to get those bookings directly. You're going to get more exposure, like being on a billboard. That's why it's called the billboard effect. So that's how OTAs like Airbnb use that as a selling point to big managers. They might not tell you or I that if we don't have enough properties, but that's the real truth. And they tell me that as a partner because, from Futurestay, right? So, we got a contest going on in the chat, guys. I got to pause here. Felicia is choosing one person to win a complete listing optimization one-on-one with me. Thank you, Felicia. I didn't even know we were doing this. I'm ready. I am 100% ready. I would absolutely love to do a listing optimization with you. And so what Felicia wants is you got to describe what makes your property unique in 3 words or emojis. I don't know who's picking the description, but emojis definitely wins in my if you get 3 good emojis, that definitely wins. All right. So the billboard effect is a real thing. It is what OTAs sell to large managers. So what that means, the way you get the billboard effect to work is this. I'm going to show you in real time. All right. Let's go to Misty's property. Misty, we're going to just pull this up here. Oh my goodness. That hot tub. You guys know, anyone that's seen my webinar in the past, any of my webinars knows that I have a thing for hot tubs. This is gorgeous. All right. So let's talk about how to get the billboard effect working. We're not even going to, this is really beautiful. We don't even have to do the desirability, the clarity, and the competitiveness. I want to do that. And so Jeff, if you want to reach out to Misty and see if Misty wants to schedule a one-on-one with me and we can go through the whole listing and get that all done, we can do that analysis separately. What I want to talk about here is just how to make the billboard effect work here. Let's start at the top, guys. Putt and Soak Beachside Oasis. Okay, now Misty, if I'm correct, Misty doesn't have a website. You can drop in the chat if I'm right or not right. What's super important here is this is a proper noun. This is a name of a thing. It's not just a description. It's not beautiful beachside oasis. It's a name. So I already know. You guys already know. If we want to find this property, what do? We can go, if it has a website, we can go Google Putt and Soak Beachside Oasis or just Putt and Soak, and we will probably find this. This is going to come up all the way at the top of search engine results because it's such a specific name, right? It's really, really easy for me to now find this place just by searching for it because it is a unique name. Now, what Misty would need to do if she had a website, let's go here, and I'm going to give some feedback. We got to give some feedback to this Futurestay customer. Is what does it say up here at the top? If you guys can see that, discover your next favorite vacation. This is what's called an HTML, right? The language that all these websites are, the display language they're written in. that so the internet and your browser can decipher them and show them to people. The HTML here, this is called a title, and this is called a header. This is the thing that Google and other search engines think that your website is about. And so if this thing isn't the name that you have here, no one is going to find you when they search this lovely, unique name. You better make sure that this thing here, H1 tag, and here up at the top, the title are the same as your website, as the same as your Airbnb listing. That's how you start the billboard effect. It's not enough, but that's the beginning. Even better if you can grab it and put it into the URL. And so this here is the name of this property. And so Casa Redwood is in the URL. That means they've done that part right. That makes it more searchable, but it's not quite enough. You need it in the URL, you need it in the title, and you need it in the headline, the H1 tag. That is how you start the billboard effect, because if they, doesn't matter how good it is, they search it, they can't find it, they can't book it. Okay, number one. Number two, just in case someone was confused, let's see if they are going to believe that they're going to be able to find you directly, right? Okay, here's about the space. Well, one thing that we're going to talk about here, if we get the opportunity to review this personally with Misty, is this isn't, for how gorgeous this property is, there is no way that this is enough information to get me jazzed up about it. Because I can tell there's so much more here that I need to know before I can even dig in. Okay. So what I don't see here is, again, this name. I want to hit the name again because I want to make sure that people know that I can Google that thing. And I'd put it right next to the location so they see the name and the location, and I can copy and paste it. What did I do here, guys? I don't want to type this in. I want to copy and paste it. Putt and Soak Beachside Oasis in New Smyrna Beach. Copy that, grab it, pop it right into Google, right? Now, the challenge with all that's how you start the billboard effect. You make it so that it's very, very obvious. And then so at some point in time, and this probably happens all the time, someone's going to email or going to use a messaging here and put an inquiry in and inquire to Misty, hey guys, how do I get this? Can I book you directly? And most people will say, oh, I don't know if I want to take direct bookings that way. I'm scared of the direct bookings. Well, if you have your website set up correctly, a couple things. One is you want to make sure that you have, like on Futurestay, you want to make sure you have a damage waiver for every booking. That covers you in case there's damage, right? You want to, so, and I'm not talking about just insurance. I mean, covers you like, hey, someone danced on the couch and put a big hole in it. Okay, your damage waiver covers that, right? Instead of the guest having to pay a $5,000, $2,000, $500 security deposit where they're going to be scared to pay that out of pocket because they don't trust you yet, we make sure it's just a damage waiver. They put $25 if it covers you for $1,500 damage. No questions asked. You send us a receipt for the couch or a picture, cool, you're covered. You also want to have that guest verification and screening. So if there's any red flags in the booking, we send out a secure link where they do an ID selfie verification. So you know that they are who they say they are, right? If there's any red flags at all in the booking, and there's automated screening on every booking. So you need to make sure you trust them too, right? So that trust has to be built in here. Let's go back here. Now what I want to get at here, sorry, this is the wrong listing. What I want to get at here is once they trust you, right, they need to see that same information on your booking so they can complete that booking. I don't know that that's here. Misty, I don't know if you have a website, Misty. No, not yet. Okay. So with Misty, with your website, that's that gap you want to close. You want to close that gap of making sure that someone can just literally copy and paste the whole name. You know why? People are lazy. They're not just looking at your beautiful property, even though your property is very desirable. It really honestly is. Because of the unique things here, and you really obviously know who your ideal customer is in your stay story. We can work on crafting it a bit more, but clearly you know who it is. We just got to present it. This is a perfect example where you could turn almost every booking, not because it's so unique, into a direct booking by doing some of these three things, right? So first is the billboard effect. Let them find you. The second, let's go back here, is the halo effect. The halo effect is the tendency for an impression created in one area to influence opinion in another area. Well, that's kind of complex sounding. What does that really mean? It means you want the people that look at your website to think that you are more special than everyone else. right? You're not the same as the property next door. And I don't mean your property is not the same as the property next door. I want them to think that you, Misty, you, Jim, are different, special, not saying better, different and special and unique. And the reason why you need them to think that you are different and special and unique is because unless you have a completely stellar property, and again, lots of people do, like this is a stellar property, this is stellar property. Guess what? We've already done the market analysis on this one. There are stellar properties all up and down this block. They are all beautiful and they are all unique, and a lot of them are purpose-built vacation rentals. This one's a guest favorite. There's a guest favorite right down the street, right? So what the person really needs to understand here is that Javier is special. And we got to do a great job on the website to make sure that they understand Javier himself is special. And so that means making sure, let's see how we did here. We're gonna look at it together in real time. This isn't quite it, right? Great family picture. I love that. But they need to know that when they come stay with Javier, they're going to experience not just McAllen, Texas, but Javier's McAllen, Texas. That is the halo effect. Because once they believe Javier is special, they're going to think their stay is going to be special if they book through Javier. And they're going to think that their stay is going to be more special if they book through Javier than if they book on Javier's Airbnb listing. They need to think that you are the expert. You know, you guys know, and this kind of ties into the next one. You guys, I just told you, I'm in central New Jersey. I'm right near Rutgers University, New Brunswick, New Jersey. If you're popping here on this webinar, and I say to you guys, hey guys, you know what? My favorite restaurant and bar in the world, and I've traveled all over the world, going to conferences, meeting customers, and all, et cetera, for Futurestay and other businesses. But my favorite bar in the world is a block and a half away from here. It's called Clyde's. It's the best martini bar I've ever been to. And I've been to martini bars in probably 6 countries, 6, 7, 8 countries, more than that, more, 6 continents, I should say, right? And then dozens of countries. Because I love martinis and I love a nice vodka Vesper like James Bond, but no gin, right? Here's the thing. You guys don't know me very well. I mean, some of you do. You've been here a couple times. You're going to be like, oh, I got to go check out Clyde's because Phil said it. Not because you care about Phil's opinion or you think my opinion is so special. It's because you heard it from a real person. And because you heard it from a real person, it's going to be more important to you than something that you just read about on Yelp. It's not that Phil's so special or Phil's so great. It's just that you know me, just like we need to know Javier. You got to introduce yourself. You got to tell them why it's your New Brunswick, right? I want to show you my New Brunswick, New Jersey, my Somerset, New Jersey, my Princeton, New Jersey, my Coney Island, where my property is. And so because it's me and not me, Phil, that's not what I mean. Because it's a real person you're interacting with, you understand that that person is going to give you a unique experience. Why are we doing this? Why does it have to be unique? Why can't it just be good? It's because, let me remind everyone, Airbnb has already won the trust game. It's safer. It's going to feel safer for a guest to book through Airbnb. So all else being equal, and you're going to keep that price the same. We're not discounting this. All else being equal, you have to win. And the thing that you can win on to get that direct booking is by making that billboard effect to get the booking, to get the guest to your website, having the website that has what in it? It is clear, it's desirable, it's competitive. And then you have to have that. You got them there with the billboard effect. You use the halo effect to differentiate yourself from your listing, right? That's how you get that going. Now, that's great. We use the billboard effect and we use the halo effect. And I want to go back. Let me take a look in the chat because I see more stuff coming on here. Pines Lake Fireplace. All right, that sounds good. Hold on a second. I want to take a look at, I think we have one more listing. Let's get one more listing in the chat, guys. Here we go. Big Bear. Thank you, Anna. What I want to talk about here, and we're going to do a quick one here because I want to get into the network effect in a second. And I know we're getting close on time. Family mountain cabin, dogs welcome, grill pines. Okay. This is an interesting one. This is, I don't know the name of the property here. Anna, if you have a direct booking website, I love these pictures, by the way. This is so beautiful. I mean, who doesn't want to sit at this table in the sun and just have a nice coffee in the morning or a nice tea in the morning with that beautiful tree there? Um, if you have a website, drop it in the chat, please, because I want to be able to talk about the name of the property. I don't know the name of the property yet, and so here we go. Perfect. She got it right here. Welcome to Sugar Pines Casa, Big Bear Mountain Retreat, and she's got the at. My God, guys, we got. I think we got a ringer here. This is exactly how you do this. This is exactly how this is done. I literally have contact information. You see this? This is how you build the direct booking loop. Um, let's see if she has a. She doesn't have a website. Anna, what are we doing? Like, Jeff? Can we DM Anna and get her a website? She's got everything set up already to get a website. So what the only suggestions I'd make here, even though it's so clear here, maybe it's not. I wouldn't even say it. You have the entire name with the location in it, Googleable. I can literally copy this, paste it into Google, and go. Right now, and even better, it's set up in such a way here. Now let's see if it's because of the exclamation. No, it's set up in such a way that we're not even getting sponsored results on it. Why does that matter, guys? That matters because the more specific your name is, you can see the Airbnb listing right here. The more specific your name is, the less Google is likely to run ads against it. And if they run ads against it, let's get a generic name. Okay, now we're seeing Google's starting to take this up, right? Now let's get even more generic. Uh-oh. Where's the link? It's gone. We got the Google Vacation Rentals widget in here. Now, Google Vacation Rentals is great. I'm going to tell you how to get in there in a second. But the point that I'm making is we got a sponsored ad at the top. We got this, which unless you're in Google Vacation Rentals, which we can get you in, you're out of luck. And now we got more down here. So the more generic your name is, the harder it is to end up to get the billboard effect working. You guys, this is super, super important. You got to hit a name that is super unique. So when it's searched, you don't get buried underneath stuff. Now, if you you can only get listed in Google Vacation Rentals in two ways. One is Google does scrape. If you're on a website, Google will eventually scrape that. They don't call it scraping, they call it indexing, which is really the right way to think about it. Google's job always is to index all the world's content and make it searchable for us as consumers. But your property won't be bookable on Google Vacation Rentals, and you'll be all the way at the bottom unless you're connected to Google Vacation Rentals through a partner. We are Google Vacation Rentals partners. We were actually one of their launch partners when they launched the Google Vacation Rental service about 2.5 years ago. They launched with us and one other company, right? So we've been in here since the beginning, and we know how to optimize your listing to get it to the top of Google Vacation Rentals, all the tricks and the tactics, et cetera, so that that closes out the billboard effect. So let's talk about how this works, right? We're here. Okay, we didn't get it in here, which I think is okay, because I think that what Anna's doing is she's using some smart SEO to pop up in the Airbnb algorithm, which I think is a smart way to do that, because she's done so well at getting this here. And she's got literal contact information. And she's got an entire searchable term. So let's say we search for this and her term wasn't quite as unique. We'd show up on a list like this, and you'd be in Google Vacation Rentals. Someone would click through into Google Vacation Rentals, and they would click visit site. So what we see here already is, here's the worst thing that can happen. You're in here and you don't have a website, or you have a website and you're not using an official Google partner like Futurestay. And guess what you see? What do I see? I see links to my OTA listings. Google wants your website to be first. When you have your own website that Google Vacation Rentals is partnered with, it says, I'm trying to remember the name. It says verified listing, and it puts it in a whole separate box. It puts it up at the top so people can book you directly. And there's a button here that says book this property, which takes you directly to like the Futurestay powered website if you're on Futurestay, right? So you got to close that loop by being on Google Vacation Rentals. That's even on top of the direct booking loop, right? I'm talking about the psychology here, not about what we can do for you, but that is what we can do for you. We can get to the top of Google Vacation Rentals, that link that comes right back to your property when they search for you, right? So that's how you want to get that loop going. That's how you want, going back here. This is textbook, guys. This is exactly what you need to know. Look at this description. I love this. Okay. We got the clarity going here too. We got to chat with Anna and get her a website. This is good. All right. So let's close the loop on it. So we got the billboard effect. We only got a couple minutes here. We got the billboard effect, which is getting you to the website from the OTA listing. The website is clear. It's showing the desirability because it knows who the ideal customer is. And it's competitive. not in terms of price, guys. This isn't about price. Your price is the same on your website than it is on your Airbnb. It's not higher. We're not going that far, but it's the same because people are booking you. Why? Because you build the halo effect. They are not just booking a property. They are booking through Anna. They are booking through Javier because they want to see Javier's McAllen, Texas, not just regular McAllen, Texas. And they believe that like 78% of travelers that are in Gen X and down, their main reason for traveling is basically it's so they can show their friends and family that they had unique experiences on social media. And what's more unique than booking directly? Booking an Airbnb, okay, everyone's done that. But having having Anna's version of McAllen, well, Anna's not in McAllen, Texas. Let's see where Anna in Big Bear, right? Having Anna's Big Bear. Anna's a super host. Let's see what Anna says about Anna, right? So this is her Airbnb listing, obviously. We'll get to that later on. Point being that when we learn how Anna feels about Big Bear and what Anna does in Big Bear, we're going to have a unique, different experience that we can go brag about on social media. And we know Anna, right? We're saying we know her. Just like if you're going to come to New Brunswick, you're like, oh yeah, I know this guy Phil. I got a guy. Everyone loves to say, I got a guy. I know this guy Phil. He said you got to check out Clyde's. We're going to go in there and say, oh yeah, we're going to sit down at the bar. Oh yeah, Phil sent me. They'll say, oh, Phil sent you? Great. I mean, that may actually happen there because it's right around the corner from the office. But point being, everyone loves to feel like they are the expert. And the easiest way to feel like you're the expert is to talk to the expert. That's why you're booking the trip, right? You're booking this long trip for your family, right? That's staying longer and spending more money because you're the expert. You're not the expert. I'm not the expert. You want to book with the expert. So you got to let that person that's doing this experience prove to them that you are the expert. Complete the halo effect, guys. That's why they're there. What does Anna know about Big Bear that's not on her Airbnb listing? I want to see her Big Bear. Okay. And the last is that network effect. We're going to close out on network effect. Let me just take a look at the chat here. Anna's using those keywords. That's right. I can see she is. You're doing great, Anna. Fireplace. I didn't even look at the fireplace. I got to go back. Hold on a second. Let's take a look at Anna's fireplace. You guys can already tell I'm a sucker for some of these amenities. Oh my gosh. I love that. This house is such a beautiful juxtaposition. Oh wow. This is gorgeous, guys. I love the decoration too. It's a beautiful juxtaposition of classic, retro, modern. It's quaint. It also looks very upscale, really, really nice. So really, really good stuff here. But that juxtaposition is that's desirability. Do we have the clarity? Do we have the competitiveness? That's how you close that loop on it. Okay, so the last year's network effect. Network effect is simple. I'm on your site. I think I'm ready to book. Now, how do I show, right, on Airbnb, look at this share button right here. Look at the save button right here. Well, I can save it because I'm logged into my Airbnb account, right? I can share this and it's going to it's letting me, look at all these options, guys. I can copy the link, email it to my wife because she's going. I got to get her sign off on it. Otherwise, I'll be sleeping on the couch. I can WhatsApp it to my friend that's coming with me. I can message. I got even more options down here. I can embed it. I can do all sorts of things to share this. And I know that I can get my buy-in on my group of friends really, really easily, right? When you go to a website, does your website have easy ways to share? It's got to have things like this right off at the top. Because otherwise, I'm on your website. I clicked all the way through to Javier's website. And without this stuff, oh, now I gotta copy this. And sometimes you look at a website and you're like, I don't know if that's the URL. Maybe you're 3 pages deep in it and you're like looking at, this, checking rates, right? We're going to reserve. I want to send this with the price in it to my wife. If I click on this link and it doesn't go right here, so my wife can see the stay I'm talking about, she's going to be like, well, how much is it? Right? So now I got to write her a second email. You made it hard to share. If you don't have easy ways to share the website, because that's what everyone that's trying to book you for the long, expensive booking is going to do, they can't get through the funnel. They can't get all the way from the top of this where they find you all the way squeezing through the end. make it easy for them to get that network effect going. And then once they do book, how are you getting their email? How are you following up with them? How are you staying in touch? I'm going to leave those questions. That's the second part of network effect for the next webinar, right? How to really build that network effect and get that loop kicking, right? We talked about how to start it with the billboard effect, the website that has clarity, desirability, and competitiveness, and how to hammer it home with the halo effect and close the deal with the network effect, right? What I really I want to be respectful of everyone's time because we're nearing the top of the hour. So if you need to drop, go for it. But what I want you to do, if you want to keep hearing more of this, hit me up, send me a DM, or just raise your hand in the chat. Jeff will get your contact information and we will follow up with you directly. Easy. Misty, booked an appointment. Misty, I'll talk to you soon. Anna, we got to get you a website. You're a pro already, so we got to get you a website. Let's get this going, and then let's play. Jim, you and me right after this, man. Like, DM me your cell phone. Like, I'll just call you after this. All right, let's get you going. All right, so this is how we get the direct booking loop going. I want everyone, and I might see some of you guys next week because I'm seeing some repeat faces here, which is good. Everyone, come talk to me, book time with me. I will walk you through all of this, right? You don't even have to have a website. We can make sure, I want you to have a website, but even without a website, we can make some changes so that people can find you. Just like Anna is already doing here, where she's getting this right probably to her Instagram with the @ symbol. Like there's so many ways to get this going, guys. The takeaways from today, real simple, let's close out like this. Direct bookings are more valuable. You don't have to have more than generally about 20% of direct bookings to double your income. Get that double up booking calculator. It's in the chat. Put your numbers in there, calculate it for yourself. Let us know what your number is, and we can talk about how we can get you there. Direct bookings are challenging. They're challenging because trust. Airbnb owns the market on trust because they're so good at it. You have to equal because you're going to charge the same amount. That's the whole point. That's what the market is already willing to pay for you. You're going to charge the same amount, but you have to deliver more. And the way you deliver more isn't by giving away a bottle of champagne at check-in. You can do that too if you want. There's nothing wrong with that. You can do special offers and promos. There's nothing wrong with that. But what they really want is they want to be the expert for their friends and family. And they aren't the expert. They've never been there before. Who's the expert? Anna's the expert. Jim's the expert, right? Who's the expert in New Brunswick? You guys haven't been in New Brunswick, New Jersey. So if you're coming here, who's the expert? Phil, I want to go to the restaurant Phil said. I'm going to send Phil a note and see where I should go for dinner, right? Not that I'm not the expert. I just live here. And that's going to make you feel like the expert because you get to know the expert. That's how the same way that you're thinking about that is the exact same way everyone's going to think about you, not your property, guys, you and your story, your Big Bear, right? Your Smyrna Beach. They want your Smyrna Beach. That's how you become the expert. And then once you become the expert with the halo effect, they found you on the billboard effect, they got to your website, you're the expert with the halo effect, you close the deal with the network effect. You let them share. And because they're going to share, their friends or family are going to trust them because they're part of the network, that deal gets closed. And that's how you complete the direct booking loop. We're going to get more into the network effect. I want to do a webinar just on building network effect. Jeff, why don't we slot that up? We're going to do an hour on just building network effect because the network effect is ultimately how you go from getting that first direct booking, getting to that 10%, 15%, to allowing that 15 to 20% to come back year over year over year, like Jim does. Jim, the direct booking OG that we have on the call here today. All right, guys. If you have not scheduled, we have a link in the chat right here, Futurestay live tour. Pop yourself in there, set up time to chat with me. I'm going to spend time with you. I'm not going to send you off to someone on the team, salesperson. You and I are going to go through your Airbnb. We're going to go through your website, and we're going to get you set up with a direct booking website. No, if a free trial on it. You're going to let it run. This is not something that we're not going to charge you $100. It's like, let's get it going. Let's see if it works. If you start getting bookings, great. Then we'll charge you for it. That's how we're going to get it going. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for the time and for spending the time with me. I appreciate it. Good to see a few of you again that I haven't seen in a little bit. And if you want to see a webinar specifically on network effect, pop that in the chat or send that to either me or Jeff in a DM, and we'll get that going. Okay. Thank you, everyone. We'll catch everyone soon. All right. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.